All right, so I'm just an idiotic, stupid dog, and the trouble I'm having is that I keep drinking bourbon on my chalice and I forget to eat my proper amount of grass out in the yard. The dogs have to, like turkeys have to get gravel, chickens have to eat gravel in their gullet, cows have four stomachs. So it's like, but a dog, he has to have a little bit of grass to digest properly. And if you drink too much bourbon without eating the proper amount of rough fescue or turf type fescue, or presumably Agrostis palustris, creeping bentgrass. All these things aid a dog's digestion. I'm not eating enough. I'm not getting outside enough. So I'm just drinking bourbon and lounging around. I'm stepping outside, I pee, I poop, and I come right back in the apartment. But I'm an ancient old dog, so it's like getting harder and harder to go romp and play or go look for a squirrel up in the mountains. Doesn't matter. That's just what gets me the gastrointestinal problems. The real problem that we're discussing is that, we're having trouble juggling all these balls. We're having trouble figuring everything out for ourselves. We're having trouble, no one even, whatever. So anyways, a lot of the adherents have kind of shifted. It used to be some of the old adherents, and the old adherents have to get back bubbled up and bubbly and get back, to make some things, because the new adherents are pushing out the old adherents, and we are an adherent-driven YouTube channel, posting, making takes situation. It's just what it is. So we gravitate towards we're trying to build up our brand to get a little bit of money to change our lives, but yet we want to remain anonymous in a Banksy-esque artistic fashion. And I don't know if that's going to work so good, but the man, he's not really trying to be anonymous. He just wants to get a little bit of money to help him pay his mortgage. He doesn't have a mortgage. He has to pay taxes. Taxes are like a mortgage. He has, if you divide up his ginormous tax bill by 12, every month he has to meet a certain nut just to stay in the manor house that was left to him by his dad. And his dad figures in very key to this whole situation. So we're trying to attract adherents that could bring us views, that could get us watch hours, that could make us a little bit more, whatever you say, pronounced, a little bit more phenomenal, so that we could make a little bit of money. We don't got to make that much money. The man just wants to try to help pay the taxes. Maybe he could buy a new hose to water his tomato plants. Maybe he could have, make a little bit more money to help pay for all the man he keeps working, digging up the shrubs, transplanting the shrubs, tending the shrubs, the little garden he puts out, the lawn. He tries to keep up with everything. It's not like Cold Sore Jimmy can just drop hundreds of thousands, whatever he needs to keep his manor house up. This manor house is, one literal step away from decrepitity, becoming decrepit. God, it doesn't matter. But anyways, the old adherents, they don't seem to be voicing too much. No one seems to be bringing us in very many new adherents. What we're trying to do is broaden out, expand. And so anyways, the producer, he's trying to help us. The man is just staying stupid. He doesn't even want to get involved with it. He doesn't even understand. I'm an idiotic, stupid dog. I know I'm not long for this world. So I'm like, it's going to last long enough for me. But whatever. The man, he's got a long way to pull, like 25, 35 years left. He doesn't seem to understand. He's like oblivious. And the producer, he's a young buck, and he's trying to glob on. He's trying to insinuate himself. He's trying to wedge in to become some of it. So he's got all these new bright ideas. The producer's the one who brought in the writer girl. And then him and the writer girl absconded with the whole man's, zeitgeist, the whole man's persona. Not his persona. The whole man's the inner feeling where he's like, he finally felt a little confidence. He thought him and the writer girl were going to be able to hook up. He's wanting to hook up with a younger woman to give him a little bit of a boost, but it doesn't seem like it's working out. Plus, then when you get a woman stolen right out from under you, and then this idiot producer, he goes over this stupid writer girl who's all tattooed up and's got all these freaking piercings. She's putting the shit in her ears to make her earlobes elongated, stretched out, and they flamed out and bombed. And now you don't even hear from her anymore. Who knows where she is? And the producer's crawling back with his tail between his legs trying to get back in. And the producer, he says, I want you to check out this Cody Fancy Pants fella, because I think maybe he could, give us a big boost of popularity. The other thing is, this is another thing. This is like an aside. YouTube's trying to tell us we have to be at least 10 minutes long. Everybody else is telling us you better break it up. You better be able to go part 1, part 2, part 3, because no one wants to hear this shit for more than 3.5, 4 minutes tops. Like a take cannot be any more than 3.5, 4 minutes. I mean, we're at 6 minutes right now. This is going to be a 10-minute take, but nobody wants to hear a 10-minute take. I mean, that's the kind of a thing that, whatever. It's okay. So anyways, Cody Fancy Pants, he's, the producer's saying we should get with him, but then when you look him up, he's got 47 adherents and 24,000 views. And he's been pulling this shit since 2009. I mean, this is who the producer wants to cast his lot in. It doesn't seem like it's going to be, for me, it doesn't seem like it's going to work out that great for us. But whatever. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will. It could be this. It could be that. It could be anything. Nobody's even worrying about it. But the main thing is that, when you try to figure it out, you're saying, okay, so Cody Fancy Pants, he's got like 48, 49 subscribers. He's got 24,000 views. And he's been doing it for whatever. My math may be wrong. It's like over 20 years, under 20 years, something about 20 years. I don't even know. I wish we could make this post in 3.5 minutes. That would be good, because I'm sick of these long posts. No one wants to watch these fucking long posts. They want a 3.5 minute post. But whatever. So the other guy, the producer, said, you really got to pay attention to King Cobra Rules. And as a dog, I was like, yeah, King Cobra Rules, King Cobra Rules. That's the guy I thought that had a little something on the ball that he could, help us. He could help us build up our brand. Then when you look up his thing, he has no posts, no subscribers. I think the producer was the only one he's got 1 subscriber as the producer. He's only been there for since 22. So at least there's a little, you could pray to God that maybe, he could do something. He's not making no posts. He's what you call a professional, and that's okay. He's a professional commenter. The comments are beautiful, and that's what you need. You need a bunch of comments, but jeepers creepers. So anyways, the man, he stumbled out. His pajamas were ripped up. The man doesn't clip his toenails. So when he went to put on his pajamas, his big toenail caught his old frayed, ratty-ass pajamas, and it ripped a giant hole at the knee of his pajamas, and then that whole portion of the pajamas fell off, so he's got 1 naked leg from the knee down and 1 full dress leg in this old kind of Woolworths kind of style black and red checkered pajamas. They're so old and ratty, his ass hangs out. You can see a little piece of his ass, and he doesn't even have a shirt on. He's got a big beer belly, a big, whatever. It's a booze belly, it's a wine belly, it's a port belly, it's a beer belly. And he says, hey, man, if you guys are talking a bunch of shit about this, that, the other thing, I think this new guy who just came on board, Me Machine, and he said, did the little native boy get any scalps? I didn't even realize that we mentioned the little native boy when we were talking about that red carpet. But everyone has to understand the little native boy, he's not developed yet. He's a character that we've planted the seeds in. If you look back from the old days, we're gonna do the first ever repeat post. It's gonna be called One from the Vault, so you could experience who the little Native American boy was. I think he was from the Iroquois tribe. He gave the man's great-great-great-grandfather a carpet because they knew how to, I don't know where, I think it was from like the mussels or where they dug up this, I don't know, clams, or if they dug up the, whatever you call those things you scarf down, they're raw, and they make you more sexually vitalis. They give you more sexual vitality. I think that's called, I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. But they're some sort of a crustacean, but you take that shell and just a little purple portion of the shell, you crush it up. It takes bazillions of these things to make a single carpet. They were making these really radiantly deep, rich purple carpets. That little boy was maimed. That little boy was called Grasshopper Who Hops Along on One Leg, and his entire name, his full Native American Indian name from the old days, from the Iroquois tribes, he was called Grasshopper Who Hops Along on One Leg mournfully towards the autumn. But we all called him for short Grasshopper who hops along on one leg because he was maimed. And then we finally just started calling him Grasshopper. I don't even think I mentioned his name. I'm a stupid dog. I'm not sure I even mentioned the kid's name. And so this guy, Me Machine, he's commenting saying, did he get any scalps? No, he wasn't a scalp taker, son. He was one of those people when you started to do a little agrarian culture and you started to produce a little bit of food, they started carving out some niches so some people could become artisans or craftsmen. They could start to become designated religious people. They could be designated politicians. See, when you get the food, you have designated farmers, designated agriculture. Then you have enough food where everybody could stop. Until then, everybody had to just get food. If you didn't get enough food, you starved. And half the people starved half the time. But once they learned how to grow a little maize, a few pumpkins, a few squash down by the river, you started getting some green beans, some raspberries, strawberries. You started getting, what was already there, but you started cultivating it, building it up, trying to tend it a little bit. Then you could get enough food where you could start carving up little niches for people. And the Grasshopper boy, he was, whatever you would say, I don't even know. I don't know if he was an artist. I don't know if he was a politician. But he was one of those guys who didn't have to go get scalps. A lot of them still went out and got scalps. But that kid, no. He was maimed. He was probably going to have to get some scalps or die trying. But then just at the time this kid was starting out, or a half a generation before, they started doing agriculture. So this kid, he didn't have to go get scalps. Me Machine. So no, he doesn't have to get scalps. And if you like the ones who get the scalps, send us a list of who it is that who goes to get scalps. Maybe that would be good for you. But to cut a long story short, to get to the end, the thing that we were setting up with this previous post about blundering around the manor house, and the man was saying, hey, that's not how the man would do it. It's a mystery. What was the man worried about? The man was worried about his dad's legacy, saying, hey, my dad, that's not how he would have wanted it. That's not what he would have done. I think you're going to find out. It's just a hint because we're not ready to divulge it yet. You're going to see it in a later episode that the man was saying that his dad was a bit of an artist, just like the other things. The man's dad was a famous, renowned veterinary guy. That's just what his dad made him become so they could keep making some money, so they could keep the manor house up. The man himself, he would have kept it up and would have been a big timer, but he got oxygen deprivation when they were out swimming around a lake, and he had this little styrofoam cutout that they set him down, and it was like 3, 4, 5 years old. He flipped over. He was upside down. He was drowning. No one's seen it. His mom, God forbid, she's a blowhard. She was a tramp. She was a floozy. She was a druggie. She was a wino. I don't even know if that's all true, but she wasn't worried too hard about her kid. The granddad, the man's dad's dad, the man's granddad, came charging down and saved the man when he was just the little inheritor boy, from drowning. But they got to him too late, and he had oxygen deprivation. So, the whole thing is that he has enough wherewithal to fend off and to keep up his dad's legacy. But what his dad's legacy is kind of cool. You're going to find out, but we're going to leave it as a mystery. But this is the thing. All these adherents, listen, we have 139 adherents. We need to get to I don't know what they say, 1,000 till we can make a little bit of money. We don't have to have a lot of money. Everything we make after we get a little bit of money. The man just wants to pay his taxes. I'm an idiotic, stupid dog. I don't need no money. And I'm going to die in a year and a half tops. The producer, he probably wants to make mints, but he's not going to get no mints. And no one even knows what happened to the writer girl, and she's at least part of this whole thing that we could think about. It's all right. It doesn't matter. We went way over 10 minutes. We're coming at 15 minutes. Nobody wants this shit. We have to start breaking these things up. We have to start breaking up these tales so that they're a 3.5 minute, 3 minute 50 second, 4 minute 15, because that's what the generation's got the tolerance for, the apprehension for, the wherewithal, the concentration. They don't got what you call, I forget what you call it, where you have you can't really pay attention for that long. You don't have enough, whatever they say, where you're talking about, they can't, what is it? They don't have enough, I forget what it is, where you could concentrate that long, but whatever. It's like if you're a golfer, you're standing over the drive and you're like, I'm going to really concentrate on this drive. I'm going to hit this drive straight. I'm going to keep my back stiff. I'm going to keep my ass sticking out. I'm going to keep the same angle on my knees. And I'm going to crank back, and when I come through, I'm going to keep my head down. I'm not going to look up after the ball flight leaves, and I'm going to keep my elbow, and all of a sudden you forget about it. You start drifting off. You start thinking about a hot girl. You start thinking about, I don't want to hit in the sand trap. You start thinking about, I want to get a cheeseburger with extra onions at the turn, and all of a sudden you just shank it. It's just you forgot the whole thing and you shank it. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, but whatever. That's okay.